Marvel fans, we need to talk about the Fantastic Four. We got some updates coming out of San Diego. Crazy look at what that futuristic city is going to be like. Them in the 60s. Pedro with the stash. But after that, a bunch of insiders and scoopers started talking about reveals for the movie that are like way crazier than what Marvel actually revealed. We got to talk about Galactus, him being one of a kind in the entire multiverse. What? We're going to talk about the Future Foundation, Franklin Richards being a big deal in this movie and being a big deal in Avengers 5. What? And we got to talk about RDJ Doctor Doom. He's going to be in Fantastic Four too? What? Let's get into this. And if any of this sounds really cool to you, smash a like on the video. You should just do that anyways. Helps me out. Okay, so this first one's coming from Alex Perez. Alex Perez says that Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie is going to be like America Chavez in the sense that there's only one of him in the entire multiverse. And actually, Alex goes further and implies that Galactus has perhaps destroyed planets in other universes, perhaps even destroyed entire universes. Now, that's really weird when it comes to Galactus. Galactus is in every version of the cosmos in the comics, or at least as far as I know, he's in most versions. But as I was thinking about this, I thought it was interesting to note that Galactus was not in the Ultimates universe, the original Ultimates universe, when Marvel was doing that back in the day, which is even more interesting because the Ultimates comics were actually a huge inspiration for the MCU. The Ultimate comics were like, what if this was happening in the real world? Like a little bit more realistic, a little bit more movie-esque. Anyway, point is, there wasn't Galactus in that universe. The Galactus from the 616 universe gets transported to that universe, and it's devastating. There was this crazy big event called Cataclysm, and the heroes of that universe were just not prepared for Galactus. And if Alex Perez is talking about Galactus eating other planets or other universes and like surviving into a different universe, it just makes me think this version of Galactus is going to be super, super powerful. And in fact, it reminds me of the Jonathan Hickman Doctor Doom one-shot comic book that was released this year. Super hot comic book, by the way. If you have a copy of it, it goes between $50 and $100 right now, and I think it's gonna go up. But in that comic book, you have a version of Galactus that has eaten everything in this universe, and he's super powerful. He's like the most powerful thing that he could be, and he's gonna destroy the current universe to get into the next one to eat all of that universe. Now, another thing that this one Galactus throughout the multiverse thing makes me think of as a massive nerd is this idea that Galactus might be a primordial force of the entire multiverse. Because you look at America Chavez, right, and her power is super unique, and it like breaks the rules of the physics within the multiverse. That's like her power. She's tapping into outer versal power, right? And in fact, I remember in Multiverse Madness, Wanda says to Strange, she's like, she's not a child, she's a supernatural being. And that's because America is a one-of-a-kind force of nature that can break the otherwise confines of the multiverse and of multiversal travel. And what this also means is this Galactus gets to be this like super crazy exposition machine in the film. And remember that we have Ralph and Neeson as the voice of Galactus. Check out this little clip from the freaking Grey Knight. This dude's voice is incredible.
1 year hence.
And so we're going to be getting Galactus with that voice, like saying, Reed, I've known many of you throughout the multiverse. You're the most bitch-ass one. Why didn't you just shave the mustache for comic accuracy's sake? But seriously, like, we're going to get epic information about the multiverse, potentially delivered by the super giant cosmic being with that voice, this version of Galactus. It has me excited. Like, it has me excited for what we could be experiencing in the film. Maybe some iconic line. Reed, I've been through many universes. Adam Driver wanted too much money, therefore we went with you. Okay, all right, I'll stop. There has to be some crazy reason why there's only one Galactus. Like, I keep getting this feeling that this version of the cosmos that we have known as the MCU is like a flawed version, right? Like, we're gonna learn more about maybe what He Who Remains or some other force or entity did to the cosmos, because that just doesn't feel right. Like, it doesn't feel right that there's only one Galactus. Maybe that's because this is a fake multiverse that was created off of a singular timeline, right? We kind of know that that's maybe what's happening. I just get the feeling this is a big deal. There's something really important going on here with this Galactus. Okay, but the next thing we got to talk about is like just as cool, maybe even cooler. I'm talking about the Future Foundation, and I'm talking about Franklin Richards. Okay, Future Foundation first. What the f is it? Well, you see, in comics, and this was really something established in Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, I think in his first 6 issues. But basically, Reed was a part of a bunch of think tanks of older people in the world, and he basically gets fed up with them because he's like, all of you adults just suck, man. You're all just pessimistic and you want to protect your own resources and you're not thinking to the future. You're not really going to be the ones to solve all the world's problems. And so he turns to geniuses that are young. He forms the Future Foundation. And it's actually kind of a cool idea, right? Because Reed is basically saying, well, you know what? You know who's going to fight really hard for the future? The people that are actually going to inherit it. These kids. These kids are the future. And so he makes a group with his 2 children, Franklin and Valeria Richards. Valeria Richards, by the way, is maybe the smartest person in the entire Marvel multiverse. They kind of, trade places. Like it's either Victor, Valeria, or Reed. They are all in contention for the smartest person in the entire universe, and they kind of rotate out, depending on who's having some brain fog, maybe a bad cup of coffee, restless night of video games or something like that. You see what I'm saying? And the Future Foundation is one slice of this because there's so many cool things that can come out of the Future Foundation, man. Different people joining. At one time, even Dr. Doom's a part of the Future Foundation. It's crazy. But I think for me, the real reason I'm so excited about this has to do with Franklin Richards. And if you take a step back and you think about how a lot of these scoopers are talking about Franklin, like even just talking about him in the movie, you get a sense that Franklin's very important for this movie. And then we get a new scoop from Alex Perez saying that Franklin will be in Avengers 5. And that's something to do with the Future Foundation, and Franklin Richards is actually going to be really important for Avengers 5. Now, the current rumor here, guys, is that this universe, the one that the Fantastic Four currently inhabit, will be destroyed. That universe is going to be destroyed, likely by this Galactus now. It's kind of what it seems like. And that group, that Reed, that Sue, Johnny, that Ben, the 2 kids, maybe Galactus as well, will be transported from that destroyed universe into Battle World, Secret Wars, or a different universe, maybe even 616. And we've heard that Franklin Richards is going to be like born in space in this movie. It's going to be like a super crazy, really dope looking scene. And ultimately, Franklin Richards' power is going to be the thing that makes Galactus come to Earth. Because if you don't know, in comic books, Franklin Richards is one of the most overpowered characters that ever existed. So he's the son of Reed and Sue, so he inherits like their sort of power cosmic-esque abilities. He has that power, but he's also an Omega level mutant. Oh, they retconned him so that he's not really a mutant in the Jonathan Hickman X-Men stuff? Well, shut the fuck up, because I don't give a fuck about that. As far as I'm concerned, Franklin's still a mutant. Some retcons you just gotta refuse and be very stubborn about as a fan. So that. Franklin is an Omega level mutant, and I hope they make him an Omega level mutant in this movie. But the point is, Franklin Richards is crazy power. He's a reality warper, okay? This dude can literally make other universes. He does several times in comics. There's even events where his future self comes back to the present timeline and actually has a Galactus as his herald. The Galactus serves Franklin, and together they fight against mad celestials and crazy stuff. It's wild, dude. Like, Franklin Richards is an absolute monster, a beast of power in the Marvel Comics universe. And at the end of the most recent Secret Wars, when Reed Richards defeats Dr. Doom and gets all the power of the Beyonders and, has the ability to potentially recreate the multiverse, he has Franklin recreate all of the universes. Then you have Reed basically putting the power of the Beyonder back into the universe via the Molecule Man. And I know this is really nerdy, and like some of you are like, all right, but like just let me cook. The point is, Franklin Richards recreates the multiverse. Like, without Franklin Richards, I don't think we get the current version of the Marvel Comics cosmos, which came out of Secret Wars. Franklin's that big of a deal. And we've heard rumors, guys, that they are going to do that in the MCU. They're going to do a new version of the cosmos, right? This version is going to go away, and we're going to get a new version, right? I believe Franklin is going to be the obvious catalyst for that. He's going to be the one that does that. He might even be something that Doom wants to get a hold of, that Doom wants to prevent from being able to do this, because if we get God Emperor Doom, that's likely outer-versal power as well. Like, Doom is going to be the most powerful villain we've ever seen in Marvel, at least as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's going to be crushing people. So to have somebody like Franklin Richards, that's a huge benefit to the heroes in Secret Wars. And that perfectly takes us in to the RDJ Doctor Doom of all of this. Now, according to Jeff Snyder, Doctor Doom, RDJ Doctor Doom, is absolutely going to be in the post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four. Now, there were some accounts out there sharing some crazy numbers, like the fact that RDJ was going to get $40 million just to do the post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four. And I don't know if that's real. I don't think that's real, but if that's anywhere close to real, Marvel needs to rewrite this movie and just make him one of the villains. Like, duh. Like, imagine paying that much money just for a post-credit scene. Although, I guess if the post-credit scene is dope enough, it's a huge preview for the absolute banana stuff that's coming in Doomsday and in Secret Wars. But still, crazy, right? Like, I just think that's wild that he's just going to be reserved for the end of the movie. And in fact, we got even more clarity on this. Alex Press was basically explaining that this universe where the Fantastic Four is going to exist, there is no Doctor Doom in that universe. And that's like, what? And it's kind of like, well, maybe they had this planned then, because if they didn't have Doctor Doom as a big part of the Fantastic Four, they were obviously saving him for something else, right? Something that's more connected to, you know, Doomsday, obviously, and Secret Wars. And if the Doctor Doom we meet, the RDJ Doctor Doom, is observing the Fantastic Four universe, or he's like outside the verse, similar to the TVA or something, and he's consolidating power and watching the collapse of the multiverse, that would be really interesting, right? And I think there's a connection here between RDJ Doctor Doom and Galactus. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I keep getting this sort of feeling that this version of the cosmos is like fake, or it's a false universe. Or just like in the current Ultimates comics, you realize, oh, the maker actually created this universe, so it's not real. There were things that didn't happen, like Spider-Man was supposed to happen. He didn't happen. A lot of the heroes that were supposed to, you know, become the Avengers, they never become heroes because of all this time manipulation. So this version of the cosmos, and the sacred timeline in particular, it might all just be sort of a false version of what was different before, when there was a Doctor Doom and a Reed together, when there was X-Men together with the Avengers, right? When Spider-Man was there the whole time, right? Like a more pure Marvel universe. I just get the feeling that that's something that's going to be connected to the underlying stuff in all of these movies. But as far as what you really need to know for the particular movie, like what's the actual update, it's the fact that RDJ Doctor Doom will be in that movie, likely in a post-credit scene, which will set up the craziness to come. But also, there's no Doctor Doom in that Reed Richards universe. So maybe no Reed Doom rivalry, no college thing. Maybe there'll be an explanation as for why. And I get the feeling the Fantastic Four might be the only heroes in that particular universe. So, like, there's got to be a reason, right? There's got to be something that they're cooking there. Those are your updates, guys. This is a crazy freaking time to be a Marvel fan. So please let me know all your questions about the updates in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.